got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup, though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup, though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup, though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup, though.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here and Jack Bennett. All the lights are currently lit here on track, and it is go, go, go!
Contact between the Mercedes teammates.
Denoso with a crafty manoeuvre up the inside. Masterclass from the Chilean.
Crucial championship points on offer here.
Do not count out Danny Beresne.
Longay has done the job. This is for the win between these two.
Freddie Rasmussen wins the United States Grand Prix.
Alfie Butcher wins for the first time ever. Lucas Blakely takes the championship. It's Barry Borman.
Jarno Opmeer is your champion.
And a big good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We've had our rest and we are now back for PSGL F1. It is the 20 quickest drivers on the PlayStation platform who are going to be duking it out around one of Formula One's most consistent circuits, I suppose we can say. The Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya has been on the calendar for quite some time, and one man who's been commentating on PSGL for quite some time is Mr. James Head. James, how are you keeping?
Doing really, really well. Thank you, Evan. It is going to be an absolute fantastic night. I mean, we had Austria, the race of the season so far. Can we get a race of the season candidate again tonight in Spain? I'm living above hope, but it should be a really interesting night's worth of action. And of course, the second race that we've ever had on the new layout here.
Yes, you can see the race results for Austria on your screen now, folks. Honestly, if you didn't watch it, go back and do it after this race, because genuinely, it's probably one of the best league races on the F124 game, and I say that with no bias at all. Luca Rapassa was able to take the win ahead of Cameron Dowds in second and Ryan in third. Danny Van Houten in fourth ahead of Matteo in fifth with NLR Ryan in sixth. Alpha Gully then took seventh with Damien Correal in eighth and Ryder Dahl in ninth and Oscar in 10th. And one big talking point, I suppose, from that race, James, was these guys can race wheel to wheel and they can do it very cleanly.
They can do it very cleanly, and that's not normally what it's normally like in PSF1, if I'll be honest, because last season, I think it was all about consistency. The season before that was all about consistency. This season, I think, is more about the racing and the on-track action, and I think it's really, really good to see, actually. The action really happening out on track. Everyone going hammer and tongs. We're back in the normal cars tonight as well, so that is just going to fuel more incentive into the fire to try and get some really good racing out on track. And of course, the standings coming into tonight as well. Cameron Downs leads the way on 33 points. Ryan in second on 24. Luke Rapazza in third on 22. Matteo fourth on 21. Danny Van Houten in fifth on 19. Then Renz in sixth on 16. He didn't start even last week in Austria. Alpha Gully 7th, and Tom in 8th on 10, Leonardo in 9th on 9, and then Ryan in 10th also on 9 points as well. Consistency has been the key. 3 different winners in 3 different races. Ren's race 1 in Silverstone, race 2 Cameron Dowd, and race 3 last week was Luca Rapazza. Whether or not we get a 4th different winner in 4 different races is another thing, because PSGL normally throws up this sort of thing.
Yes, we would like to see another surprise winner. Cameron Dowds has a healthy lead at the top of the order, taking 2 podiums out of 3 races. It was first in Miami and second in Austria, but he was very happy with how Austria went. He said he needed his qualifying to go a little bit better, but he was very happy with his race pace, and I imagine he'll be very happy coming into tonight as well. He was 3rd in the championship last season in PSF1. He is 1st after the first 3 rounds here this season. Rayan then in 2nd place, the man who had a very strong Austrian Grand Prix, I think, did Rayan. He was able to take a podium as well, taking 3rd, his 2nd podium of the season, only 11 points off Cameron Dowds. The only problem for Rayan is Cameron is performing like he's never performed before, James, and it's going to be very difficult for Rayan to beat Cameron, not only over a season, but maybe even over one night.
Definitely. So you cut out for me a little bit there at the end, but I think I got the gist of it. Cameron Dowd has definitely been a lot more consistent in PSGL. I think this is his full focus. I interviewed him actually on Friday in the other league, off his Consultier 1 race, actually, and Cameron Dowd said PSGL is his focus. So this is now all of his time, all of his effort going into this. Another wonder he is the championship leader, Mr. Consistent himself, Mr. ERS management himself as well. I'm sure we'll come on to that in due course. The drivers are about to go out on track, though. Rayen, however, 2nd and 3rd, 2 podiums also picked up in the last 2 races. He's a man of consistency, and Luke Rapazza also come into form. Watch out, I think, for Danny Van Ruyten. He has been bubbling under the surface. They're in 5th position in the standings. Watch out for him. Current championship leader Matteo just ahead of him as well, or current champion, I should say, Matteo just ahead of him as well. It's going to be really interesting, though, how everything progresses, and we're not too far away from the action beginning.
No, we're not too far away from the action beginning, so we'll take a quick look at this evening's, I was going to say this evening's Colosseum, but that's Italian. The Spanish probably won't really like that. It is, of course, the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya here in Spain. It is a 5.055 kilometre circuit, 2.892 miles with 14 corners, although they like to change that a little bit, so that the figure could be wrong by now. Got rid of the final chicane, of course, heading into the 2022 Formula 1 season. And that has, I suppose, in terms of league racing, James, kind of opened the track up a little bit, and we get a little bit more overtaking than what we're used to at this circuit.
We do, and I think it's actually more reliant as well on DRS training around this track as well. We normally see maybe 3 wide, 4 wide moments even down towards turn number 1. Plenty of overtaking opportunities out on track. Hopefully, that is the order of the night, and hopefully we're not going to be sitting by the end of the night and absolutely ratifying our drivers at the end of the night. I certainly probably will be by the end of tonight, but we are going to get the drivers out on track, and judging by how they've left early on, they are really getting on with things. Luke Rapazza is one of the first out on track. I'm not sure actually who is the first out on track right now. I'm just flicking through to see. It is Mr. F7R Jeroen, who I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is his first race of the season. And Jeroen normally does well first race of the season, has done well around here in the past as well. So Jeroen, first man out on track in the Williams, which I'm delighted to say.
Yeah, Jeroen, a reserve driver, of course, but he is in the Williams tonight. He is replacing TF10 Dirk, last season's PSF2 champion. So, I wouldn't say he's under a lot of pressure, Jeroen, but always likes to perform. So a bit of personal pressure, if anything, for him. We have all but one driver out on circuit here with 16.5 minutes to go in qualifying. Not something you often see, but these drivers are eager to go after a week's hiatus. And it will be Jeroen that will get us underway here. Isn't it great to see the actual F1 cars back on the circuit? Thank you very much, Codemasters, for that one. Makes me and James's life a lot easier as well, but it's great to see all the different colours of the race teams. And I suppose that leads us back into our Constructors discussion and our Constructors Championship fight. And for now, it seems like everything is just a little bit one-sided in all the teams because of you have your individual drivers performing. You have one McLaren, one Haas, one Sauber, one Ferrari. Will we ever see one team sort of take a step above the rest, James, and lead this constructors' fight from start to finish?
Yeah, judging by how it's gone so far, McLaren out on top 43 points, Ferrari second 30, Haas third on 24. So this is going to be really key to see if Shazoo, with Cameron Dowd and Tom, with McLaren even, can try and get that. You're on, by the way, in the middle sector, so 50.4 in the middle sector. Now coming in towards Bank Sabadell at the top of the hill at turn number 12. Hopefully not hitting the bump on the left-hand side. Coming through the right-hand return number 13. Neatly done there by your own as he now flies through the final corner. That's Holland, and on the run towards the line comes Jeroen with a 1:11.5 to start off the night. Back to the constructors' battle, though, with the first time left times coming in. Gavon now going quickest. Haas, Aston Martin, Sauber just in behind there as well. McLaren have got 13 points over Ferrari. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they get on. Belby, one of the guys that I decided to put in the poll here tonight, not currently on pole, but he's there in seconds. He's right up there as Rens Thomason, the man who I voted for, has just gone quickest.
Yeah, James picks the drivers for the polls, by the way. I set up the poll, I let him pick the drivers. Don't blame me if they're completely wrong. There is Leonardo going quickest for Ferrari. George Ansel, who we were looking at, goes in 10th spot. Ryder Dahl coming through the final corner now. Only himself and Hazara yet to set times that are actually on the track. Some connection problems for Damien Carell, so he will look to get in the session soon. And it seems like Hazara is just coasting it in, meaning we've got it. Okay, 17 laps. Luca Rapazza's not really at full pace. We've got 17 laps in 16. I've just seen how far Ryder Dahl is off the field. We've got 16 laps in at the first attempt with 40 minutes to go in qualifying. That's quite rare for league racing. Usually you get a few invalidations at least, and the top 6 are separated by just under 2/10 of a second, so very close indeed. But Leonardo separating himself, 1:11.1 so far for him. The next best is Rens Thomason in the 1:11.2s.
Yeah, definitely. So Luca Rapazza, by the way, is a 50.2 in the middle sector. He's going again, as is Rotterdam. And Rotterdam was 2.1 seconds up in the first sector. His middle sector split will be incoming very soon indeed. Luca, of course, who won last week in Austria, coming now through the right-hand turn number 13. Doesn't juke me into the pit lane, which is good. Now through New Holland corner at turn number 14, riding aggressively on the curb, on the run to the line, and puts it pole. So Luca Rapazza, 1:11.121. Not all the ones there for Luca Rapazza, but a very good lap nonetheless. Rotterdam is actually quicker than him in the middle sector, so maybe going again for 2 outlaps is the need for speed, as Rotterdam now goes on the run to the line, and he pops himself into third. So Luca Rapazza and Rotterdam against the rest of the field, going there first and third. Maybe other drivers might need to pick up on that, because that, I thought, was very well done from both of them.
Yeah, 2 great laps and 2 preparation laps in both of those times, of course, so that could be something these drivers have to pick up on. Maybe the slightest of track evolution, but I can't imagine that's playing much a part this early in the session. Damien Carell will be interesting to see what he does with that newly equipped knowledge. I'm sure he was probably more just hoping to get back into the session rather than look at how many outlaps he's doing, but he's out on track now, heating Pirelli's soft compound tyres, which usually in races around Spain, James, we don't see too much of. The medium and the hard, the more popular choice.
Yeah, medium compound tyres especially. I was watching F2 a little bit earlier on, and everyone started the race on a set of medium compound tyres. So that might be the order of the day once again here in the top tier in PSF1. Looking through the chat, by the way, George Morgan saying in the chat it's early days. Definitely so. We've still got, 12 minutes to go in the session, and Damien's just starting up on his lap, coming through the right-hand return 1, flicks it left through 2, runs wide there, coming out of the F to the 2, now through the right-hand return number 3. His first sector's not going to be on par, I don't think, with the top guys. I expect around a 21.4, yeah, 21.5 through the first sector. It says it's purple, probably not, as the Alpine now comes through down into the left-hander of turn number 5. Also in the chat there, Harrison Holmes going for Rayen or Gustav pole, and also Dirk going for Rayen's pole. So definitely going with Rayen right now, but Rayen's all the way down in 16th. His teammate Belby there in 7th as Damien just finds the curb a little bit too much there, coming through the chicane of turns 7 and 8, and now loses them all the time on the run up towards turn number 10 at the end of this middle sector split, and it's a 50.4. He is going mid-pack, I would say 11.6 with this lap.
Yeah, let's see what he can do then, heading up through turn number 12 and in towards turn number 13 into the newer section of the circuit. Well, it's been here for a while, but it's returned to Formula 1. And these 2 quick flicks to the right, and Damien flicks it for the final one, and across the start-finish line, it'll be 14th position for him, 1:11.6. Shout out James Head, nailed that one. on the head, I suppose. But a decent lap there for the Alpine. We'll be looking to improve upon that one. The second times for the rest of the pack have begun, and we're seeing a lot of improvements out on the racing surface. Keep an eye on this man, Rens Thomassen for Aston Martin. He's a man who finished second overall last season, was able to take 3 wins, but did not take 1 pole position in any of them. Finished on the podium 6 times as well, of course, including those 3 wins. He'd like to take the extra point for pole here today, though, rounding in towards the right-hander and down towards the braking zone of turn number 10, one of the newer corners, of course, on this circuit, the Barcelona-Catalunya. He's narrowly down in that second sector, but there's not a lot in it.
And Gavano there going third as well, just catching on his lap time there at the end, 1:11.161. Renz is 1200ths down, but he's now coming through this fastest part of the section, through turn 13, now through New Holland Corner at turn number 14, rides the curve very neatly indeed, on the run to line, may go quickest, and he does. 1:11 flat there from Rens Thomassen, found all of that time in that final sector, 2/10 I think that was, in that final sector, we're near enough the halfway stage through. Renz out on top, Luca Rapata in second, Leonardo, however, fastest middle sector out of everyone, 50 flat in that middle sector. The Ferrari, the Scuderia Ferrari HP, as it's now known, has a right squirrel coming out of turn number 12 at Bank Sabadell. That's losing him all the time. May bail into the pit lane. He's actually going to continue with his lap, but I don't think this is an improvement from Leonardo on the run towards the line. Yes, and it wasn't by 1,000th of a second in the end. Renz out on top, Luke Rapata there in second, Leonardo in third, Cameron Dowd's also improved, Rotterdam also improved, Danny Van Ruyten to the line there, just improving up to 7th. Anybody else on the lap, Evan?
Not many finishing the lap, certainly. There's a couple towards the start. Luca Rapasa is actually heading through that first sector, and he has found time. He's found enough to go for pole for now, but he's got to keep that for the duration of the lap. Championship leader Cameron Dowds struggling a little bit in qualifying again, something he personally feels needs to improve upon. He's improved to 6th, but really there's not a lot in it between 6th and 1st. It is minimal improvements needed. If you want to take pole position here for the Spanish Grand Prix, Luca Rapasa heading through this uphill right-hander and down towards one of the few overtaking zones maybe in this second and third sector. He has lost a little bit of time compared to his first sector split, but still improving upon the lap overall, just struggling to get the traction down smoothly, exiting that corner, so he would have lost a little bit there. Now you've got to try keep the throttle pinned for as long as possible in through these 2 right-handers, and as we ride on board with Luca Rapasa, he's on the battery button, draining it of what it's got. It will be an improvement, but it will not be pole position for the Sauber. They remain 2 and 4, and it'll be the second Aston Martin. It'll be Ryder Dahl, the Swedishman, who improves and beats Rens Thomassen. It is a Aston Martin front row lockout. I know, James, we were saying no team has really taken control of the championship, but Aston Martin are certainly taking control of this qualifying session.
They definitely are. 4th in the standings coming into tonight. Renz and Rotterdam, both their full-time drivers. Rotterdam actually has not finished and not scored any points so far here tonight. So obviously they're down in 4th position. It's going to be really interesting to see how the Aston Martin team can cope. But it's Rotterdam out on top, Rens Thomassen in second. My laptop's having a fit right now. There we are. Big Rapata there in third. 7.5 minutes to go in the session. More drivers out on outlaps. I think Bell Belby, who noticeably actually invalidated his last run, is just starting on a run now in towards turn number 1. 11% of you went for that in the poll. 33% went other. Comment below. Quite a few of you didn't, so we'll actually forgive you on that. Rens Thomassen on 29 and Cameron Dowds on 25. It looks good maybe for Rens there in second. Bell Belby's first sector, 21.5. Not a blistering first sector from the man down in 13.
No, it's not a purple sector, that's for sure. We've seen a lot quicker so far in this session, and maybe Bell be just struggling a little bit in getting this Haas through the corners. But we'll have a look on board through this second sector, and you can see just bouncing over the curb there, doing well to control it on the exit of the corner, but not necessarily the quickest line indeed. Very nice through the uphill right-hander nonetheless, not using all of the track on the left-hand side, but we know that curb can be a little bit dodgy. 50.1 in the middle sector. He's not improving by an awful lot, certainly not enough for pole position, so we'll be hoping for a big final sector and no impromptu bumps along the asphalt. Here comes Bell Belby in towards the final couple of corners. I don't quite think this one's going to go pole. It's not been the smoothest of lap times from the Frenchman. It'll be across the line. It'll be 11th spot for Bell Belby. 6 minutes to go here still in the session. Giovanno is currently on a lap, heading down towards the left-hand corner of turn number 5.
Yep, coming through, say, out to turn number 5, and then in towards my favourite section of the track, in towards the double left at turn 6, and then through this chicane here at turn 7, then through the right-hand return, and bright as Rayen goes quickest. Didn't even see he was on a lap time, to be honest. A 1:10.960 sets the timing screens alight. Gavano is setting the timing screens alight potentially as well in this middle sector, but he's 900s down. I would be backing off this lap time now. I don't think he's going to consistently improve. Gets a bit of a snap there coming out of turn number 11, but Gavano really fighting that kick Sauber now through the right-hand return number 12, now in towards turn 13 as well. He may as well bail into the pit lane, and he does. So Gavano does bail into the pit lane. Alpha Gully, or as I'm calling them, C Gully, out on track there, down in 9th position. 5.3 seconds down in the pace. Looks like he's going to go again. So an interesting strategy there from the man in the Visa RB, or the RB as we're just going to call it, I think, in for tonight. Danny Van Ruyten's first sector, he's up. Cameron Dowd is up in the middle, in the first sector even, in toward the middle sector split, and Cameron Dowd is down in the middle sector. So it seems to me, Evan, as I'm just flicking through drivers here, it seems to me everyone is gaining in the first sector, losing it in the second, and then potentially gaining it back in the third. That comes to show a little bit of inconsistency with some of the drivers out on track in terms of their lap times.
Yeah, it does. Middle sector very difficult to nail around this circuit, the Barcelona-Catalunya circuit as well. Cameron has improved overall, but it's only 7th position, which is still a decent starting position, but for the level Cameron Dowds has set for himself in these previous races, that is not ideal. Ryan, currently top of the order, took pole position for the Austrian Grand Prix. He'll be looking to continue his pole streak here in Montemelo. Here's Danny Van Ruyten across the start-finish line. 5th position for the Red Bull, improves literally 1,000 of a second behind Leonardo, so he will be kicking himself that he couldn't just get the throttle pinned a little bit quicker through some of the corners and improve to 4th to beat the Ferrari. Top 3 are in the pit lane preparing for their final runs. There'll be no improvement from Shizu Oscar on this lap unless that slipstream he's getting is extraordinary, but I do believe that is a car just getting out of the way. Here is Matteo, reigning champion, not pushing in that middle sector. Alpha Gully was not able to improve upon his lap as well, so he's into the pit lane. NLR Ryan currently rounding towards the right-hander, getting ready to start a lap back. No, he's not. He's into the pit lane. Saw a full battery and assumed he was going to go for it. Now it's the sort of the dull stage in qualifying where they're all just in the pit lane making the final adjustments that they can do, getting the battery and fuel recharged to go for one more blistering lap here around this 4.6 kilometre circuit.
And let us know in the comment section who you think is going to get pole position right now with, what, 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go on the clock. Rayen, interestingly, is out of sync to everyone else now in the field. Of course, Danny Van Ruyten's there coming through the final corner into the pit lane. So Rayen is on an outlap. He's out of sync to everyone else. Maybe he's going to try that tactic of going for 2 outlap runs and then go for his flying lap towards the end of the session, out of everyone's way. It's an interesting strategy, especially because he's on pole position right now. Rotterdam there in second, Rens Thomason in third. Normally around this track, I would be saying, normally you don't improve on your final runs, and that might be the case here, but I'm looking at Rotterdam, I'm looking at Rens Thomason as well. Potentially, I think they're going to improve on their lap time. Tropic saying Alpha Gully for pole position there in the chat as well. With 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go on the clock, everyone now filtering out the pit lane. Is Rayen going to hit traffic coming through turn number 1? Ghosting is off, collisions are off as well, but Rayen could hit traffic coming onto his, coming from his outlap onto his flying lap.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the one thing you don't want. I'm not sure about you folks at home, but that always happens to me if you're playing career mode, where the traffic, the AI always come out of the pit lane and you get blocked. Rayan was on the battery button for a brief moment, but wasn't on it overall. Does seem to be like he's pushing in this first sector. No. We don't really know until we get to the first sector split. He's not driving the car like it is an out lap, but he's 0.7 of a second down. So I think he is trying 2 out laps, 2 warm-up laps, an install maybe, and a warm-up lap. A tactic we saw work earlier in the session here to try and take pole position.
Yeah, and Volokongan's doing exactly the same thing as well, coming through the right-hand return number 3, so he's doing the same thing. Anybody else just about to start up on a lap time? I think Rens Thomason is just starting up on a lap there in P3. He is definitely using up his battery, which seems to me this is his flying run. This is his final attempt to try and get pole position. Now the Dutchman coming through the right-hand return number 3. We'll see what his first sector split is going to be like as he now flies through the right-hand return number 3, taking my line through there, the very thin line that does gain you time, and it's gained them time in the first sector. 21.4, exactly where we expect them to be, but it's this bogey middle sector that drivers want to try to catch out with. Rennes locks up in towards turn number 5. This bogey middle sector for Rennes is going to be make or break in terms of pole position.
You can see he just clips a little bit of grass on the outside, but overall it's looking nice and smooth for the Dutchman heading in towards this middle sector. Let's see the sector split times. This will be crucial for Rennes Thomassen. Is he up? He is up, but it's not enough for pole position. It would be enough to beat his teammate. It's not now because he spun it, and that'll be that for Rennes Thomassen. It should be a maximum start of third unless he can get this car's battery recharged almost instantly and he can get the car ready for one more lap, but I would be very skeptical of that. His teammate Ryder Dahl is going for the double install. He's not currently pushing. Rayan is pushing and is improving in that first sector. We'll have to wait for his second sector split times. Keep an eye on Leonardo as well. Giovano's gone to third. He split the two Aston Martins. His teammate Luca Rapace in the Sauber is heading through the final corner now. Was on top at one point in this session. Won't be on top now. It'll be a second row start for both the Saubers. Keep an eye on championship leader Cameron Dowds as well as he's heading in towards this middle sector split. Narrowly improving, not by an awful lot. Ryder Dahl gets his final lap of the session underway. Here's Rayan, dead evens in the middle sector. Can he improve upon his pole time? He can. It's by a little bit, but that might just be enough.
It might be enough. Leonardo's coming through the middle sector. He's down in the middle sector. Danny Van Ruyten is improving by 300s through the first sector. Middle sector, he's down. So I don't think Danny Van Ruyten's going to try and feature. Oscar's down in the lap time as well. Leonardo actually is now going to be next to come across the line. I believe he's now using that overtake mode up, coming through the right-hander. At turn number 14, the Ferrari on the run toward the line. Does he improve? He doesn't, but he goes 700 down in his lap time. Danny Van Ruyten and Ballard coming through turn 13, and he's run out of fuel, I think, to the line as well. Matteo backing off that lap time.
Big improvement for Ryder Dahl.
Yeah, Ryder Dahl going second. So he's now 700 up, 49.9. He's slower than Rayen, though, in the middle sector. About 200 down through that middle sector. Can the Swede be on pole position coming through the final couple of corners? Now sweeping through New Holland at turn number 14. The Swede on the run to line. Does Ryder Dahl do it? No, he doesn't. He lost all of that time with a slow exit through the final corner. Rayen is out on top. Ryder Dahl there in second. Fantastic lap time. In the end, Ryder Dahl comes out on short. That was all down, Evan, to that final corner and right in that curve.
It was, and PSGL F1 has a new king of qualifying. It is the Algerian driver of TF10 Rayan, who is on pole once again here, and he is on pole for the first time at the Spanish Grand Prix. Ryder Dahl in second, Giovano in third, Luca Rapace in fourth, Rennes Thomassen in fifth, Leonardo will start sixth with Danny Van Ruyten in seventh, Oscar in eighth, ahead of championship leader Cameron Dowds in ninth. Work to do for the McLaren. Then it is Brando, Matteo, Alpha Gully, Ryan, Volokonglen, Damien, Bell by George Ansel, ahead of Tom, Euron and Hazara. Folks, we're going to take a brief commercial break and then we'll debrief that classic qualifying session. And welcome back here, folks. We have a quick restart as always before we head into the main race. But what a qualifying. What an absolute cracker that was. It was TF10 Rayan taking pole position ahead of Ryder Dahl in second. And a big performance from Ryder Dahl there, actually, James. I don't think anyone expected him to be on the front row.
No, I didn't personally as well. And to be honest, I didn't expect Rayen to be up there either. We certainly mulled over the options of putting them in the pole. I went for Bell Belby, unfortunately. Wrong Haas driver, unfortunately, from my perspective. But Ryder Dahl out on top. Rayen, out on top. Ryder Dahl second, Giovanni on third. Really, really strong qualifying session. I think I had the top 18 at, less than 0.4 of a second covering top 18 drivers, which is really, really noticeable around this track. Most drivers went for that two-stop, went for that two-run strategy. Rodinal was certainly one of them. He actually proved that to be the case, but he rolled the curb coming through the final couple of corners, through that final corner at New Holland at turn 14, was definitely the make or break moment for his lap time. He caught that inside curb, he rolled on it, and he lost him a tenth of a second. In the end, it was the difference between pole position and second, but in the end, he should still be proud of that second position. My pick, by the way, down in 5th position. So I'm not too disgusted at Rens Thomason's performance in qualifying, but the race is a completely different thing. Expect the likes of Cameron Dowds to come to the fore in this one.
Yeah, very interesting you bring up Rens Thomason. I was going to actually ask about him next. He's a race man. Not really qualifying is his forte. No poles last season in season 36, but he scored points in all but 2 rounds. So it's safe to say the 33 laps will suit him better than just 1.
Definitely, and I think mentally as well, he's built up for these longer races. He's built up for performing really well. And I mean, he didn't start last week. He was 12th, I think, the week before. So he has had a bit of a dodgy start to the season. He won in Britain, however, and I think that's the standout performance of his season so far. And I think we need to look into that in more detail. He strung out the field that day in Silverstone, final lap overtake on that final lap of the race. So he did get the job done then. This is a track very similar to Silverstone, where you can overtake coming through into all the final couple of corners in the final sector, maybe on the final lap of the race. So is Rens going to be up there once again? Is it going to be a carbon copy of that race at Silverstone? Time will only tell. We are going to get a quick restart. I think Damien's currently out of the lobby, or somebody's at the lobby at the minute, so we're waiting on them to rejoin. But let us know in the comment section who you think is going to win this race. We'll read the best ones out. I'm not going to put myself on the spot until a little bit later on.
Yeah, let us know, folks, who you want to win this race. Winning the Spanish Grand Prix, or certainly podiuming on it, there we go, is usually saved for the creme de la creme 1993 F1 podium of Ayrton Senna, Alain Prost and Michael Schumacher. If you calculated it now, had 14 world championships on it. Our reigning world champion, Matteo, only starts 11th, but as we said the same, I think, with Rens, I think the longer distance will suit him better, and he's usually a man who is on the ball with the strategy. It's rare Matteo gets it wrong.
It is very rare that Matteo gets it wrong. And I think the race at Zandvoort, I think it was last season, or maybe even the season before, between both Matteo and indeed Rens Thomason, Cameron Dowds was in that battle as well. And those three dominated that race. Potentially, could it be the same again in Spain? Who knows? But just to talk you through, actually, some of the PSGL stats that we've had from recent seasons, we've only visited this track actually 6 times in the last, 16 seasons, I think it was, of PSGL. Jana Watmere won in season 22, beating Sam Corby and Louis Welsh for Pad Gold. Season 23, this was all on the old layout, by the way. Jaketex won. Marquez is in second. That's a controversial name, maybe. Wilson Hughes finishing in P3. Giel won in season 26 with Nicholas Cassani in second and Valentin Bruffer in third. Season 32, it was Valentina Labella from Rowan and Taija Hardy there in third. Max Grosspartner was the last one to win on the old layout. He took the win from Joel Marquardt, or Marquardt in second, and then Aurelian in third. And it was that man, Marquardt, who did take the win on the new layout in season 35, was added to the game on the recent game. Joel Marquardt won from Wiener in second and Aurelian there in third. And the biggest thing out of them three are that none of them are here for this season. So we're going to get a new winner.
No, none of them are here for this season. So we will get a brand new winner in PSGL season 30, I almost said 36, 37 in F1. No Marquardt here tonight. Also, Marquez and Valentina both winning or both podiuming around here in the past. Wrong sort of category of motorsport here. But James, it's about that time where I have to ask you for a prediction. It's mandatory.
Well, it is mandatory, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Do you know what? I'm going to go for somebody else down the field. I'm going to look at, I don't know. It's a tricky one because the race is going to be different. I could throw about 5 different names at you, but if I want to go for one, Rens Thomason for the win.
Ooh, so the same person you technically went for in qualifying.
Yes.
Okay, that's very intriguing. One last quick question before we do get started then, and that's on the strategy. What we saw in PSGL F2 was drivers off for the mediums at the start. Are we thinking something similar maybe for F1? They usually follow a pattern.
Yeah, guarantee. I mean, looking at the screen there right now, it is actually overcast at the start, and it was a full, dry, beautiful sunshine day in F2. So it is going to be a little bit different. Could drivers maybe go more durable, go for set of hard compound tyres, and then when the hotter conditions come later on the race, go for that set of softs potentially? I'd expect, though, majority of drivers to be starting on the set of mediums. It is an absolute cast iron guarantee that they will start on that set of mediums. Anybody else that doesn't will be going against the grain of what this race is going to develop. And if they go on a set of hards, it's more durable. They can get further into the race, but it comes at a big cost for the set of softs later on. So they're going to have to tread very carefully.
So strategy then is a bit of a mixed bag here at the circuit, the Barcelona-Catalunya circuit, where the first race here was a round of the Spanish Touring Car Championship on the 10th of September 1991. It's the 5th of August here, 2024, and we have a cracking PSGL F1 race coming up to you live here on the official PSGL F1 YouTube channel, which you should definitely subscribe to if you have not already. We've got a lot of content being pumped out on all the social media channels, so make sure you do check out that as well. The drivers are just loading their setups, making a couple of last changes to strategy, to how their car works, to how their car feels before we get started for this fantastic race. And I think it's going to be a good one, James. I'm sure you agree.
I hope so. I think everyone's going to be well behaved. I think everyone, well, there was a VSC in F2, so you never know with Spain sometimes. But I think everyone will be starting that set of medium compound tyres. They're going to be looking to try and get the action underway very soon. And hopefully they do, because I'm on tenterhooks. I want to see these guys going around out on track. As do you guys at home, I'm sure we'll be not too far away very, very soon.
Yes, we want a bit of action then. We've waited long enough. With these restarts and stuff, we don't hop straight into races anymore. And I suppose we came a little bit accustomed to getting the racing action straight away on our screens. But we hopefully will get it in a couple of moments. Once again, folks, let us know your race winner predictions in the stream chat below. We haven't had too many. We have someone supporting Alpha Gully, which is a good one. We have someone supporting Anthony as well. So, you know, I ask no further questions there. But James says Renz Thomassen for this one. No matter who wins this race, they have a difficult task ahead of them, because qualifying was very close, as is always the case in PSGL F1, and it's usually very close here in Spain. Strategy can determine the race. Safety cars could determine the race as well, and I suppose we were treated nicely in Austria with not many incidents.
We were treated with not many incidents in Austria. Go and watch that race back after this one, because it was absolutely brilliant, and hopefully this is going to be more the same in Spain. Hopefully we're going to be getting underway very, very soon indeed. Ryan has not given a go-ahead, by the way, in terms of the general chat, so I'm just literally looking at that right now to see. Damien was saying he was getting kicked out earlier on, so we are just waiting, I think, on Ryan to give the go-ahead to race. And here we go, the 5 red lights are going to go out right now in Spain for round number 3 of round number 4 even of the championship, and it is lights down, away we go, and Rayen gets a very good start, as does Rodadell alongside. There's a little bit of spray kicking up in the background as well, a little bit of smoke there from Luca Rapata as he now goes down the inside line, but it's Rodadell going around the outside on Rayen in towards turn 1. The Aston Martin pushed out wide there by the Haas, and now they go side by side through turn number 2, now flicking it right through turn number 3. Clip there on the right hand side, Gavano dropping down. I think he's got an end plate missing, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe on the left hand side, a little bit of carbon fibre there dragging his Rodadell. Goes around the outside again on the back of Rayen for the race lead. He's still out there, hung out to dry. Now Luca Rapata joining the fact in towards turn number 5. It's 4 wide in the background, forced off track there. I think might have been NLR Ryan, if I'm not mistaken. All carnage coming in towards turn number 4, but Rodadell and Rayen are still side by side. Rayen somehow comes out on top, Rodadell in second, Luca Rapata in third. Danny Van Ruyten making moves to the inside line of turn 7, gets him through into 5th ahead of Leonardo as the yellow flag, and that's your own round.
Yeah, it is your own. The reason Giovanni lost so many places, he was actually tussling with his Sauber teammate Luca Rapasa. Leonardo all over the back of Danny Van Ruyten, and Leonardo was almost all over facing the wrong way, because the Ferrari is a little bit out of shape, potentially suffering here. He's now side by side with Giovanni in towards the right-hander, and if Giovanni didn't have damage before, he's definitely got it now. although all does look okay, there was big contact made with the Scuderia Ferrari of Leonardo. Rayan leads the opening lap, but the slipstream worm weaves its way down the main straight here in Barcelona, and Ryder Dahl not able to get close enough in towards the first chicane. Luca Rapassa keeping there as well. Matteo, current and reigning champion, has lost the spot to Shizou Tom for 13th. They're well down the order now. It is mostly the medium tyres for the starters, but we'll take a closer look now. It's the mediums for all but one, and that one is being Bell by, who's got a cracker off the line and is up 5 spots indeed, as is Shizou Tom. We see them barreling in towards the left-hand hairpin. Giovanni once again involved in a little bit of a tussle, because himself and Alpha Gully are side by side, but Giovanni just edges in front.
Yeah, and Belbelby actually going to try and get the run now on the back of Alpha Gully. Trying to do an up and under on both of them coming out of turn number 5. Not the smartest idea on that set of soft compound tyres. Has got to be saving those to try and get toward the halfway stage of the race if he can possibly do that. As now, he actually spies the gap to the inside line on the back of Alpha Gully. Goes around the outside at turn number 12 at Bank Sabadell, which has not been my brightest corner to go around the outside here. But he does, and Belbelby makes it look pretty easy. It makes me look like a complete B-Tech on the run through the final corner. On the run toward the line, Belbelby through his into centre, and also in the behind. Tom and Matteo are going side by side, and potentially Luke Rapata going on the back of Rodadell. DRS is enabled. Rodadell and Luke Rapata fly past Rayen. Renz Thomason could be in that fight as well. Down in towards turn number 1. Renz is just about ahead of Rayen. They're fighting, squirreling, coming out of turn number 2, now through turn number 3, and they're still side by side as we run on board with them now. The Aston Martin and the Haas on the outside line, in towards turn number 4. Renz tries to hang on to the inside line. The Dutchman comes out on top. Rayen's is really going there, sliding away, coming through turn number 4. Denny Van Ruyten now trying to capitalise, but Rodadell, Luke Rapata, Renz Thomason, Rayen, who've just been taken for an absolute shot down the field, down into 4th.
Yes, Rayan losing 3 positions in the first sector here. That goes to show how powerful DRS and Slipstream is going to be this evening, and there's no questions about that now that we may have had before the race. Danny Van Ruyten almost looking to dive down the inside. His karting instincts kicking in. 3-time Dutch karting champion in the Road Tax Micro, Mini and Junior classes is Danny Van Ruyten, so he might be more used to a slightly smaller vehicle being able to be chucked down the inside rather than these Formula 1 cars. But he's in PSGL F1 for a reason. That's because he's a very quick racing driver. Ryder Dahl sets the fastest lap of the race from the lead of the race. Luca Rapassa in the Sauber looking to try and get ahead of the second Aston Martin. He's currently the meat in the Aston Martin sandwich at the front of the grid. A little bit further down, Leonardo got a decent getaway, currently chasing down championship leader Cameron Dowds. Bell by is on the is the final points paying position on the set of the soft tyres. That yellow flag is for Jeroen on the back straight. We said Jeroen usually starts the seasons well. Unfortunately, he's not started this race well.
It's raining coming through turn number 5. I'm just looking aboard now. It is raining out on track. That's why they started on a set of mediums, and that's why Belbelby went on a set of softs. It is raining out on track very lightly. You can maybe just about see it coming through turn number 5. Certainly coming down on Rodadell's screen there. Now through turn number 9, in towards turn number 10. The rain is falling out on track, and you know what they say: the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain.
Beautiful rhyming technique from James Head, but the drama has kicked off and the rain is out. Belbelby with an absolute masterclass standing on the soft tyres. I got to admit, will they die for pit lane? Oh, the race leader doesn't, but Luca Rapassa and Renz Thomason, I should say, apologies, do. Rayan feels he can tackle the rain, so he doesn't come in to the pit lane, and Brando stays out as well. There's a lot staying out, but there's a fair gaggle coming into the pit lane. This is for the intermediate compounded tyres. We're not even close to full wet, so that's not in the conversation. Belbelby is jumping for a set of the inters. He probably has no choice because his soft tyres will be shattered almost at this early stage. Wow, this is going to be difficult. It's now Drive to Survive, literally, not to be confused with the series, of course, but it's getting slippery.
It is getting very slippery out on track. On board with Rodadell, the race leader. He's sliding his way, coming out of turn number 6. I think, actually, these guys coming in the pit lane this time around, I think are actually correct in making their decision. I think the guys in the set of inters have gone a little bit too early and a little bit trigger-happy, maybe, to come into the pit lane. The rain is falling out on track. It is affecting the track surface as Rodadell, again, catches that squirrel, coming out of turn number 9, in towards turn number 10. I think everyone on the set of mediums has got to bail to come into the pit lane. There was a double stack as well well, potentially, or was going to be a double stack between the Aston Martins. They've decided to split the strategy. Ren's been the smarter one, I think, but Rodadell really fighting that car. He's got to come in for a set of inters because their tyres have been absolutely shot as they now come through in toward the pit lane, through the final corner. Hopefully nobody crashes coming into the pit lane and causing absolute chaos. Tom is staying out, however. Everyone else on the set of mediums, bar Hazara, who's actually coming through the final corner now in the RB. He comes in the pit lane and he's actually got right on end plate damage on that car as well. So everyone in, Tom opting to stay out and avoid a double stack with Camden.
Luca Rapassa could take the race lead here. He was catching at an absolute rate of knots to the back of the pack. It all depends on where Ryder Dahl is on the pit exit, and you can see him now coming out behind Luca Rapassa and behind his teammate Rens Thomassen. He will stay in front of Leonardo because Leonardo was just that little bit further back even when coming into the pit lane. It's now fourth, soon to become third for Ryder Dahl. I think what Tom's hoping for is that someone makes an absolute botch job of their pit exit, spins, hits a wall and brings out a safety car. That'll give him a free pit stop, but this is almost race over for Tom if he doesn't bring this car home to the pit lane in one piece, because it's getting very dangerous out there, even for a set of intermediates, because they won't be entirely up to temperature now. The drivers will have to work hard to get them into optimal operating temperature. The track being soaked fairly quickly though here will be very much a helping hand.
Yeah, definitely. So Gavano was looking at the back of Alpha Gully, halfway down the field right now in what will be P10 and P11, actually, for the final point scoring position. Gavano's all over the back of the RB now into all the final couple of corners through this middle sector split. Doesn't look toward the inside line. Maybe trying the up and under. Nope, that RB is just planted on the inside curb. Tom is into the pit lane, so he's now into the pit lane. Did he clip the wall, actually, coming in the pit lane there? I think he might have done. So Tom into the pit lane, off that set of medium compound tyres. Luke Rapazza lead, Rens Thomassen in second, Rodadell there in third. Yannick and Liam are going with Leo, Rens, and Leo's gone, and Rens is winning this race. Rens Thomassen at the minute is in second. He is an absolute king of the intermediate conditions, as is Rayen, however, as he just passes Rodadell down the straight in towards turn number one. But Luke Rapazza leads, Rens in second, Rayen there in third. So maybe I'm getting something right as Luca Rapazza is sideways through turn three.
Yeah, Luca is struggling a little bit. Rens Thomassen is just made of ice right now. Cool as you like, no real errors, just driving his own race and driving it quite well indeed. Luca Rapazza in the Sauber he's putting everything into this because he wants to win this one. PSGL F3 last season for Luca Rapazza, but he managed to take a win so far at the Austrian Grand Prix and launch a bit of a championship challenge. You can just see how slidey he is heading through the uphill right-hander of turn number 9. Is it a matter of time really for Rens Thomassen here, because he's just looking so much better than Luca Rapazza, and look how slidey the Sauber is. I don't think his car was optimised for these conditions, as you can just see him all over the asphalt now.
I wonder if he's gone potentially dry setup then. If that is the case, with him sliding, maybe most of the drivers have gone dry setup. Maybe it's going to dry up around about lap 20, 21, I'm thinking maybe. Rens Thomassen now on the run toward the line has actually got Rayen outside of a second. So if DRS was enabled in these conditions, he would be outside of a second because it is not DRS enabled. Everyone's just running in good old-fashioned Formula 1 terms as Gavano sets his sights again now on Brando there in P9, the Italian under pressure there from the E38 man of Gavano. Is he going to give in for this position? Coming through the left-handed turn number 2, now through the right-handed turn number 3, the Alpine and the kick Sauber. The kick Sauber so much quicker, coming through turn number 3, almost too quick. He ran into the back there of Brando just slightly, unsettled the car, and Gavano now all over the back of Brando. This is going to be a move sooner rather than later. As soon as I say that, though, Gavano's just nearly lost it through turn 5, so I better not speak.
Yeah, Gavano, very young Dutch racer, no fear in that Sauber cockpit, and it's rather ironic, the Sauber at the front we're talking about struggling, the Sauber in 10th we're talking the quicker one, but it's the other one that's leading the race here. But Gavano is looking racy on the back of the Alpine of Brando. PSGL F1 driver last season was Brando. Gavano actually raced in F3 and F2, so he's new to these sort of conditions. In PSGL F1, Brando is not, well, I wouldn't be entirely sure how many wet races he did last season, but James could probably tell you, as Brando, as a league racer as a whole, wouldn't be new to wet racing. Up the front, Rens Thomassen has taken another 10th of a second out of Luca Rapazza, although Luca has had a better lap that time round, not as slidey, very much steady. The man on the move, that's Rayan. Look at him, clawing 7/10 of a second into the man we are calling the king of the intermediates. It's also raining very heavy here, James. I wonder will we go to the extreme wet tyre at some point?
Belby and Brando having a fight in towards turn number 1. Sorry to half cut you off there with my ooh, but Brando there on the back of Belby. 8th, 9th, and there goes Gavano around the outside of turn number 3. The kick Sauber trying to come out of absolutely nothing this move. Tries to go around the outside of turn number 4. We saw Rosberg and Hamilton collide. Gavano and Brando are not colliding this time around, however. Coming through in towards turn number 5. Into the downhill section. Gavano gets on the brakes, gets the move done. That car is unleashed up to P9.
What classic racing from Giovanni, really showing all his skill and showcasing it nicely in the slippery conditions here in the north of Spain. Still up the front is his teammate doing a good job as, oh my goodness me, Belby well out of shape heading through turn number 9, but he has held it well. One thing that these conditions do provide is a bit of drifting action, but also some fantastic saves. We've still got 20 runners here, 19 of them are still with the pack. Jerome, unfortunately, having some big problems, but still remaining in the race. He needs some form of intervention, some form of safety car to get back in this one.
Luca Rapazza just catching the curb on the inside line, and now Renz feels that potentially this could be a move in towards turn 1, but he's not closing quick enough down in towards turn 1 to try and capitalise. Luca Rapazza leads the way from Renz in second, Rayen there in third. 1.4 seconds actually between Rayen and Rodadel right now. Everyone just running a nice old line astern. Forget about your own right down at the back end of the field. He really needs a safety car, I think, to get back into this race. The man there down in the Williams' first race of the season, Luca Rapazza, is so much under pressure from the king of the Inters, Renz Thomason, who has won around here in the past in intermediate conditions, albeit elsewhere. Renz on the back of Luca Rapazza, looking to try and get the move done. Now in towards turn number 7, then flicking it right through turn number 8. These cars really, with the new handling model, having to really try and adapt their driving style, adapt their moves, and Renz now sets his sights on the back of Luca Rapazza. Is he going to go for a move? Luca just lags back there slightly, but in the end, Renz is going to have to send wide. Honestly, if I was in Renz's position right now, I'd go for the move and try and escape the second, because Luca Rapazza is looking very vulnerable.
Yes, he is looking vulnerable, and Renzo's got to be careful that Rayan doesn't reintroduce himself into this fight. I think it might be too late for that, though, because Rayan is certainly with him. They slide their way through one of two double right-handers in through the final corner now. Renz Thomason on the battery button, Luca Rapazza in front. Is he going to be overtaken down towards the first corner? On board with the Aston Martin, just doesn't look close enough, and he's missed a big opportunity there in towards turn number 10 to get past the Sauber, because Lucas seems to be okay in the final sector. The middle sector seems to be where he's really struggling. Through the uphill right-hander. Oh, Rayan was almost gone there in towards that corner. He had to just catch the car nicely. He's probably a lot more relaxed than we are watching him, but this is looking very sketchy for Rayan. He's still quick indeed. Renz Thomason, king of the Inters. Is he able to make a move stick on Luca Rapazza? He's not, but it does seem like it's almost time. James, I think for Renz's own sake, he's got to get this move stick sooner rather than later before he loses this advantage on Luca Rapazza.
Definitely so, and I tell you what, Evan, it's going to all kick off for this mid-pack as well, because Belby is holding up everyone else an absolute treat. Gavano's desperately trying to get past. In towards turn number 9, not looking for the move, but he's got more EOS than Belby's got more
front wing
EOS
chipped.
than
Rayan's
Gavano
lost his front wing. Sorry to jump in there, James, but Renz Thomason went for the outside line. Luca Rapazza defended, and Rayan has just had his front left end plate chipped off by the Aston Martin. That is damage, and that is a big moment in this Spanish Grand Prix. Rayan doesn't opt for the pit lane. He is struggling, though. You can immediately see the handling effects, and now Renz Thomason is kicked up another gear. Now he knows he's got a little bit of breathing room right behind him. He can go for the move on the race leader, Luca Rapazza, but he isn't. And I couldn't tell you why. He isn't. We have a couple of cars in the pit lane, though. Is this for the full wets? It is. This
is for the full wets. That's why he's not going for the move, because it is turning into full wet conditions. Cameron Dowd, Danny Van Ruyten into the pit lane, Oscar into the pit lane, full wet compound tyres going on the car. That mid-pack, by the way, is kicking off. Matteo around the outside now in Alpha Gully. Belby and Gavano have been knocking 10 bells out of each other, quite literally, in the last lap there. Ryan now to the inside line. Hazaras there retired, and Matteo goes around the outside of Alpha Gully, tries to get the car stopped. There's a car park, 3 wide, as we come now through turn number 5. This is mayhem. Coming now through into the left-hand of turn number 5. It's like a rolling car park right now on the M4 as Matteo goes around the outside of Alpha Gully. albeit forced them off track. Now the RB comes back alongside. Mateo realises that's an illegal overtake and stays in behind as Renz has sent his sights on the lead, Evan.
Yes, this is madness here in this mid-pack. Very similar to what we saw with the Austrian Grand Prix. King of the Inters is slowly going to lose his intermediate tyres because these drivers are pitting for the full wets, although Danny Van Routen is not catching his teammate George Ansel for now, but the track looks soaked. It looks in a very dire state, and it seems like wet tyres are just a matter of time. They're sliding their way through the spray down towards turn number 1. We start the 14th lap of proceedings, or the 13th lap of proceedings I should say, and Jeroen has been lapped. Rayan, despite the damage, is looking for revenge. He's looking to get past Renz Thomassen in towards the first corner. The Aston Martin is pushed up onto the curb and kicked straight off it. Rayan is up and ahead here in PSGL F1.
And I think that might have been because, obviously, with the incident that happened earlier on. So you can do one, I can do better. I think we're even now out on track, is what they'll probably say to each other. Rayan there in second, Renz there in third. Has brought, though, the Aston Martin team out of Ryderdale completely into play. He's got 91% of battery. Renz on 40, Rayan on 55, and then Luca on 37. Ryderdale is having fun with these guys, quite literally in front of him. They're going to fight quite aggressively. It's playing into the man in P4. There's a yellow flag, and I think that's Cameron Dowd or Tom. I think it's Tom, if I'm not mistaken. Catching a bit of an inside incident with Damien Curiel there for P12. So Tom there dropping down into P13. Unlucky for some right now, unlucky for him, but he has got slightly fresher tyres compared to everyone else on the field. Luke Roberto, though, leads the way. Rayan in second on, lap 13 out of 33, as I'll say that. Renz there in third, Ryderdale in fourth. Leonardo in fifth. There's fight in the car coming through. Brando in sixth, Belby, Alpha Gully, Mateo, Ryan top 10, Volakongan, Damien, Tom, George Ansel, Danny Van Royten top 15. They're not making any inroads, by the way, the full wet compound of tyres. Then Cameron Dowd, Gavano, Oscar and Jeroen as Ryderdale sets his sights on his teammate, but it's not going to go for the move.
No, he doesn't, but Renz Thomassen was tackling a beast in towards that final corner. Jeroen will officially become our second retirement of the race. He's sped into the pit lane and just clicked the retire button there, as did Hazara early on in the RB. Now look at this. This is getting sketchy for the two Aston Martins because it seems like one is quicker than the other. Surprisingly, it's the Swedishman that's quicker than the Dutchman. It's Ryderdale who seems to have a bit of a pace advantage over Renz Thomassen because Ryderdale has all his tools still available for use. Maybe Renz used up too much battery and too much of his intermediate compounded tyres trying to overtake Luca Rapassa, who is still at the front of this one. Keep an eye on this absolute carnage in the mid-pack. This is the battle for 6 between Brando, Belby, Matteo, Alpha Gully and NLR Ryan.
Yep, and Mateo's just sent Alpha Gully completely to the shops there, down towards turn number 5. Beautiful move there by Matteo to the inside line of turn number 5. Got it completed through turn 7. Job done. He's into 8th position. The yellow flags, by the way, ignore them because that's your own AI coming out of the pit lane. Luke Rapata's trying to now steal away. 600th of a second. Maybe feels like he's got Renz and Ryderdale on the ropes right now, but everyone else in behind are just going to be playing for a little bit of fun, playing for a little bit of time. Alpha Gully again on the back of Matteo. Halfway down the field, Matteo could set his sights on Belby on the back of Brando. Ryan on the back of Alpha Gully. Might be the move, actually, Ryan, to the inside line. On turn number 1 on Alpha Gully. That's too late on the brakes from Alpha Gully, nearly into the back of Matteo. Ryan nearly capitalised on that as well. And the RB and the Williams are going to go maybe side by side through turn number 3. Alpha Gully nearly sending that one for spin through turn 3. Absolutely on the razor's edge of the limit. Luca though leads. Rayan in second, Renz in third, Ryderdale in fourth. One notable thing, though, from this, Evan, top 4 are pulling away from Leonardo, who you've got to feel sorry for, is in no man's land right now.
Yep, a lonely race so far for Leonardo in the Ferrari. I don't think he'll mind too much, though, because he's still picking up a great points finish. Renz Thomassen is back on it, looking to try re-overtake Rayan, the man who overtook him a few laps ago. Rayan doing a mighty job there with that front end plate chipped. I wouldn't even be surprised if he just soldiers on for the rest of the race and doesn't decide to get that fixed up, but I'm not sure how that would fare in the full wet conditions. Speaking of the full wet tyres, Danny Van Routen is not losing a lot of time. but he is losing time, which means we've not quite reached the crossover point just yet. It seems like struggling and battling your car around on the set of intermediate tyres is still quicker than putting on the extreme wets, but Alpha Gully doesn't want to, or he wants to test that theory because he is in the pit lane.
I think this will be for a new set of inters, personally. Coming into the pit lane, Rain is slightly easing, I think, in the pit lane, if I'm not mistaken. He's coming in the pit lane. Is it a green wall compounder tyre? No, it's not. It is a full wet compounder tyre. So Alpha Gully now feels like it's it's now at the crossover period, and it's now for him to come in the pit lane. He's going to come out ahead of Gavano, come ahead of Oscar, and he's in a little bit of no man's land, but he's also in clear air, which is really important, I think, for him in this race. The rain is, I would say, slightly easing right now out on track, and it is having the intermediate effect. Danny Van Ruyten, however, though, gap between him and George, not sure if it's because of George's tyres, 4.2 seconds, it was 4.9. So suddenly, Danny Van Ruyten and Cameron Dowds beginning to get a move on and a bit of a shift compared to the Red Bull. But just take that with a pinch of salt. It might just be George's tyres.
Yeah, it's not fluctuating enough to have a definite decision. Obviously, these drivers will have a little bit more information than we do. But if Alpha Gully has an engineer with him, I'm surprised they've made that decision. I would have waited personally a lap or two to see how it develops, because at this stage, it's either going to get better or worse. The rain hasn't stabilized, or the rain won't stabilize. It's either going to get better or worse. And you can see, despite the slide that we're just witnessing from Rennes to Masson, the intermediates are still a tad bit quicker. Alpha Gully is struggling on them. He's catching Cameron Dowds, though, so in terms of the extreme wet tyre battle, he is winning it. As Rennes to Masson now, he was looking like a cool, calm and composed customer. Now he's almost looking like a boomerang around the track, just sideways and spinning at every opportunity.
Yeah, pretty much so, and he is just trying to push that at the razor's edge, quite literally. On the limit, he is maybe a little bit more than on the limit. Mateo goes to the inside line of turn number 5 on Bell Belby, and then Ryan tries to thread in the eye of the needle as well. That's a ruthless move from Mateo. He got that move done on Alpha Gully early on in the race. Now he gets the move done on Mateo through, sort of, not on himself even, on Bell Belby even. Through and he's into 7th, Bell Belby and 8th, Ryan there in 9th. Gap for Danny Van Ruyten is coming down, but I think that is more tyres for George Ansell rather than anything else. It is Razor's Edge crossover period. There is a yellow flag, however, and that is one of the, that is George Ansell ran in the Red Bull on that intermediate compounder tyres. Dirk has mentioned in the chat that he doesn't think that Inters can go all the way. That might be why, though, Alpha Gully decided to come in the pits. Because the full wet compounder tyres can last 2 laps shorter than an Inter stint, but they can last to the end of the race from his stint. So Alpha Gully, maybe if the rain is going to continue at this intensity, maybe if the rain is going to continue falling, that might be a blessing in disguise for the man in the RB. Who knows?
Yeah, George Ansell comes into the pit lane. He's under a little bit of pressure so far this season. It's not been an ideal start for George Ansell, 18th in the championship, being promoted from F4. He will be coming under caution a little bit as Bell Belby is getting involved in a fight here with NLO Ryan. Ryan on the inside, Bell Belby on the outside in the Haas as the Williams just trying to keep his car in. Bell Belby's given a big shove and NLO Ryan will stay ahead for the time being. The oohs and ahs from the commentary box in that one, because this mid-pack fight is once again delivering just like it did in Spielberg.
Oh, Ryan's just needed us the car as well through turn number 7 as well. So Bell Belby now on the front foot compared to Ryan. These two have been hammer and tongs. It's Ryan being ruthless, quite literally out on track. Just how Germany were in the Euros, to be honest, in most of their games. But Bell Belby on the back of Ryan in P8 and P9. Bell Belby on the back of him right now, coming to the left-hand with turn number 11, in towards Banks Abadell at turn number 12. Almost feels like, actually, right on board with Bell Belby, there's a dry line on track. And I've not seen that at all. Just because I'm double-sighted, I am definitely seeing a dry line coming in the pit lane and also coming through the final corner. So there is a dry line on the track. Rain is still at the same intensity.
Oh, look at this.
But potentially we could see some more action out on track. As Bell Belby set to sight and Ryan. Nothing going to happen, though.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on with that dry line. And we saw all the drivers weave to the right-hand side to pick up some water on their tyres. That was the tactic that you always see Michael Schumacher and Mika Hakkinen do. You see Fernando Alonso do it all the time now in modern day Formula 1. Pulling offline just to keep the intermediates cool. Which means they could be overheating a little bit. and that usually is a sign that the rain is easing. Admittedly, like, visibly, it doesn't look like it's easing at all. It's still a horrible afternoon, or evening, I should say, but the tyres are obviously indicating a different thing. These guys are going to have to come into the pit lane. The intermediates are not going to last till the end of the race. It just matters what their decision is going to be. The top 4 are all within a second here after 19 laps of this Spanish Grand Prix.
Yeah, Tropics has said it actually spot on in the chat as well. This race feels like a gamble. It is completely a gamble. Look at where Danny Van Ruyten is and Cameron Dowds compared to Tom now. They're 12 seconds behind. There's not a cat in hell's chance they're going to make that up before the end of the race. So they have gone on the wrong strategy. Rayen, though, attacking for the race lead. On the back of Luke Rapata. Tries to come across there. Luke Rapata shuts the door on Rayen. I think that was more both of them going for the same line. And one of them just trying to now fend off the attention of Luke Rapata again. Getting very, very slidey, coming out of turn number 2, through turn number 3. Rayen has got to go for this move. He realises Luke Rapata's weakness. Now to the inside of turn number 4. Flies it to the inside line. Ruthless from the man in the Haas. There goes Rens Thomason to the inside line as well. On the back of Luke Rapata. Rayen is through. With that broken front wing, he's through and he's into the lead. Rens fighting that car on the razor's edge through turn number 5. He's through and he's into second. Luke Rapata there in third. And that's the vulnerability of him that I spoke about earlier on. He did that slide coming out of turn number 2 and 3, and that opened up a can of worms for the front 2.
Yeah, there was a bit of debris that flicked off one of the cars in turn number 3. I'm not sure if it was just something visually that's an error, but it did seem like something went flying, potentially off Ryder Dowd's car, but there's nothing visibly on either of his end plates. So he's okay for now. Rayan gets through. Rens Thomason follows. Luca Rapasa made the mistake, was forced offline, and then unfortunately didn't have a hand in the fight. Rayan now leads the Spanish Grand Prix, and Luca Rapasa's in. Luca Rapasa is into the pit lane. So once he lost the race lead, the Sauber has decided to pull into the box. But what tyres does he go for? This is crucial from the one-time PSGL F1 race winner. Rens Thomason's not going for the race lead, so we can keep an eye here on the Sauber as he approaches one of the later pit boxes in this Spanish Grand Prix pit lane. As we can't quite see, he's gone for a set of inters. It's a second set of inters for Luca. I think that's a great decision.
I think that's a great decision as well. However, I noticed puddles on the right-hand side coming into the pit lane, and I didn't notice that when the guys further on did come in. However, speaking of those guys, they're just coming in the pit lane now. So Danny Van Ruyten in, Cameron Dowd in. This is going to be noticeable. Do they go for a fresh set of inters? Tom has, Belby has. Danny Van Ruyten, set of inters. So they are back on that strategy. They got it wrong. They called it wrong on that full set of wets. They've now gone to the fresh set of inters. They can now get to the end of the race. But at what cost? Because Cameron Dowd's championship leader is down in 16th position. In fact, no, 17th position, because George Ansell flies past Danny and Cameron ahead as well. Cameron Dowd is in a position I don't think I've ever seen him in the last 3 or 4 seasons of PSGL PSF1. Down in 17th position. He has got to hope, above hope, that these tyres in front do not last to the end of the race. And I think, honestly, Evan, you'll be seeing the front guys coming in the pit lane very, very soon indeed for a fresh set of inters. Yeah,
they don't want to get undercut by Luca Rapasa either. The thing about Cameron Dowds is he's down in 17th. The man behind him in the championship is in the lead of the race. But for how much longer? Here comes Rens Thomason. Just as soon as he pulls out of the slipstream, didn't have enough straight line speed to keep it going. And now he's almost bump drafting the Haas in towards the first corner. Into the pit lane goes Leonardo for a fresh set of the intermediate compound tyres. Only 2 drivers out on the wets. That's Alpha Gully and Giovanno. I think they've got to cut their losses as soon as possible. Seems like this is going to be an intermediate tyre race for the remaining duration of it. Rens Thomason once again fighting his Aston Martin in through the middle sector.
Luca Rapata is catching Damien Volokongan, Ryan and Matteo. That battle for 4th. Hand over fist right now. It's 1.3 seconds. That gap is going to be non-existent by the end of this lap. So they have got to respond to come in the pit lane. Luke Rapata, I think, it's a 21-second loss, if I'm not mistaken, in the pit lane. Luke Rapata's at 18.5 seconds. This is going to be so close when they decide to come out of the pit lane. Rayen, Rens and Rotterdam, if I'm in your shoes right now, I'd be coming in. I'd be coming in the top 8 right now if I was them. The cloud beginning, the sun beginning, just to burst through the clouds at turn number 12. Rayen sideways coming out of turn number 12. Now to the right hand of turn number 13. Do they decide to come in the pit lane? Rayen is in. Ren stays out. Rotterdam stays out. So that threatens maybe an Aston Martin double stack Is Rodadell, though, going to go for the move on his own teammate? He will. Down the inside line, in towards turn number 1. He's going to be there before he gets to the corner. Renz can't fight that. Rodadell now into the lead of the race. Renz in second. Rodadell has had good form of managing his tyres. I don't think those tyres, though, are going to last too much longer.
No, and Rodadell already struggling, just had a little bit of a slide. Renz Thomassen is going to be furious here, because he does not now have pit stop selection. It's in his teammate's hands, Rodadell, as he is in the lead of this race. Luca Rapace, there's a car off the first corner. Volakongan making a mistake there. That's the 17-lap all Inters starting to kick in for you. That'll let Damien up the field, and I tell you what, he's had a great drive as well. Matteo, 7/10 of a second off Brando. Luca Rapace, though, is ahead of Leonardo, and Rayan is down to 10th. The undercut, huge here. Rodadell surely going to pit this lap. The two Aston Martins are in a bit of a dodgy position, though, because one of those guys is going to have to stay out or lose even more time with that double stack.
And the big thing is, as well, there's probably no communication between either of them either. They're probably not in the same party, so they have got to judge this. Absolutely spot on. Renz decides to come in the pit lane, and Rodadell does. It's game over for both of their races. Rodadell they're both staying out. What on earth? They are both staying out. They feel confident, maybe, to get to the end of the race on this compound of tyres. Rayen, by the way, did change his front wing, as Dirk's mentioned there in the chat as well. It's a bit clueless. Aston Martin are a bit clueless in real life, to be honest. But Rodadell and Renz, first and second, they're there in front. They're 13.9 seconds clear of Brando. Are they going for track position more than anything else? Luke Rapata is passing Ryan, hand over fist down the straight, in towards turn 1, gets the job done. He pulled out on Damien and Volakongan 3.5 seconds the last lap. If that is not the sign of things to come in the pit lane, I don't know what is. As Damien Volakongan's just done a masterful move around the outside of turn 2.
Yeah, Damien and Volakongan having their own little scrap here. I imagine you're going to try and invite Ryan to it. That 14.4 second gap. Oh, look at this, actually. Sorry, let's just hold that point for a second, because this is Luca Rapace trying to go around the outside of the champion, and Luca Rapace being forced onto the curb, but still keeps the throttle pinned.
Way.
This is pure cutthroat racing from Luca Rapace. Incredible. Take a bow. The Dutchman has pulled off one of the moves of the season, and it could be a crucial one here in this Spanish Grand Prix. That 15.4 second gap, I don't think these guys can catch in the remaining duration of the race.
Oh my God.
The problem here is, can the two Aston Martins survive from punctures? And look at this from Luca Rapace. Move of the season, he's going to go for a second. He's ahead of Brando. That's incredible. By the Sauber, Luca Rapace is lighting this track up.
Come at us in the chat, because, I mean, he's on 15-lap pressure tyres. You know he's going to get moved on, but that was just masterful driving from the man who won last week in Austria. He is judging this race absolutely right. Now, watch this gap come down. 14.6 seconds. Those guys ahead have not got a cat in hell's chance. This gap is going to come down before the end of the race. It's 14.5. Will soon be 14.4. Volakongan and Damien are having their own private squabbles, by the way, with Leonardo. I think has just actually got both of them down the straight in towards turn number 1. Leonardo through and he's into 7 on both Volakongan and Damien. They're having their own private fight, but Luke Rapace's gap, 14.2, 14.1, 14 seconds. Would not be surprised if this is 13.5, maybe 13.2, 13 flat even, towards the end of this lap. Rodadell Renz leads the way. Luke Rapace, by my calculations, has got to gain around about 2 seconds a lap to even be near the back of Rodadell and Renz. Can he manage that? Time will tell.
According to our notes, or I should say James's notes, the intermediates can do 23 laps. That's not my strong suit, but 33 minus 25 isn't 3. And that's what Renz Thomassen needs it to be to get those inters to the end statistically. But miracles can be performed on racing circuits. Look, both Luca, Renz and Rodadell all need one. And that's a problem for Matteo, who's just picked up a penalty while trying to make the move on Brando. And is that Damien who's gone off? No, I'm not too sure what that yellow flag's for. Giovanni. It is for the Sauber on the extreme wet tyres.
It is indeed, yeah, he spun coming through the left-handed turn number 8. Very, very easy to do. Cameron Dowd's in a private fight. George Ansell just in behind this as well. Rayen passing Volakongan down the straight in towards turn number 1 as well. The gap, by the way, was 12.9 seconds. Exactly where I want Luca Rapace to be in terms of the gain. If he's only gaining a second a lap, it's not going to be good enough. Unless Rodadell and Renz's tyres somehow hang on, Luke Rapata could be winning this race out on track. It's 12.4. The gap is just going to consistently reduce. He's gaining more time, I would say, though, on Brando than he is on the front guys. And I'm not sure if you'll argue that, but I honestly think Luke Rapata is now beginning to gain on the front two. He's gaining more, though, on Brando than he is the front two, which, for me, concerns me with how big that gap still is.
Yeah, there's no question that he's gaining. It's just, is he gaining quick enough? He'll be saying prayers that both Aston Martin's tyres decide to shatter at about the 30th lap of this race, which they could well do. It all depends on how cool and composed Rennes can be. I know I've said that a few times tonight, but it all depends on that, and for Ryder Dahl as well. The Swede has done a very good job on his tyres in the opening stint. That goes without question, but Rennes, we saw at one point he was sliding all over the circuit. He almost went for an adventure in for the final corner, as here come the two Ferraris. This will be a swap round because Matteo is on much older tyres than Leonardo, and even as a champion, sometimes you got to give credit where credit's due, and Leonardo has a much better chance at a strong result in this one than Matteo does at this point.
Definitely so. That gap is now 10.6 seconds, so that gap has come down, 2 seconds in the last, even more than that, maybe even 3 seconds nearly on that last lap. Leonardo now to the inside line, and Brando makes him look very ordinary indeed to the inside line of turn 4. Job done for him. He is through and he's into 4th. Brando and Matteo and Ryan and Rayen are all going to be fighting as well. Rayen is going to be the one to watch out for in that battle, but the gap is now 10 seconds dead on. 9.9, 9.8. Luke Rapata is eating into this margin. It's the leaders against the peloton right now, is how I can describe this, because Luke Rapata is the man that is flying. He's almost a Tadej Pogacar here on lap 27 out of 33, compared to Ryder Dahl and Rens Thomason, who are more looking like Thomas Vogler right now. Ryder Dahl leading the way, Rens leading in second, in behind. 0.8 of a second the gap. Are they coming in? No. They continue on again. They are there now to the end of the race, regardless of how their tyres are. Luke Rapata is the one that is gaining hand over fist. 9 seconds the gap. By my calculations, he's going to get them on lap 32.
If he was Tadej Pogacar, I'd probably be about 10 seconds in front at this point, so maybe not. We'd also like to apologise to any Dutch cycling fans for comparing the Dutch driver to Pogacar and not using Van der Poel, but that's enough for cycling references. Funnily enough here...
Rayen.
Oh, Rayen, look, in a fight. I was going to say, funnily enough, Ryder Dahl is actually slowly pulling away from Rens Thomason in a weird turn of events at the front of this race. Brando is being bumped through the corners by Rayen, the pole sitter. Rayen now up to 5th. Rayen won't be thinking about the race win. I think what Rayen will be thinking of, and he's usually a fairly smart driver, so he would be thinking of this stuff as he's driving, is how big a championship points haul he's going to gain over Cameron Dowd as it stands, so just has to keep it on the asphalt. 7.8 now for Rens Thomason. I did a bit of a botch but quick calculation, and I said 1.7 a lap is what Luca needs. He is slowly hitting that target. To Rens, he does have to pass the both of them as well, which could also be a problem.
It could also be a problem, but it could also work to his favour. The one thing that I would say that is in Luke Rapata's disadvantage right now is how aggressive he has been with this car. I'm watching him ball with him right now, and he is flinging that car through every single crevice of this track. He's there in
also,
P3,
one more thing, James,
6.8 seconds behind.
Is his tyres are going to start degrading at some point as well. They're not going to be perfect until the end of the race.
They will degrade, but they're not going to degrade at the right. There is a yellow flag ahead. That's Gavano's AI coming out of the pit lane. Ryder Dahl leading the way. Rens in second. I'm looking now, actually, Rens' tyres. That is blistering like hell through the middle of the tyre. The right front is blistering like mad. It's turning into a medium compound tyre, is what it's basically doing. The gap now is 6 seconds between Rens and Luca. They can almost see each other in the same part of the track. But Luca's time now is beginning to drop down. It was 7-odd seconds, I think it was. Now 5.8. So he is hitting that 1.7 second target and actually smashing it right now on this lap time as well compared to the last lap. So Luke Rapata is gaining. My prediction of gaining on catching them on lap 32 isn't looking too bad right now, is it?
No, it isn't, but Ryder Dahl has got not just a second, but a third and fourth wind here. 1.5 between himself and Rens Thomason. Ryder Dahl, last time he raced in PSGL was season 35, so he would have raced around this track. Wasn't able to take a win, 23rd in the championship. This win would be absolutely amazing if he is able to take it. But it's going to be the longest few laps of all their league racing careers as Rens Thomassen. He's starting to feel the struggle of the infamous interslicks. As he... Oh, I think has he actually got a puncture, or is he just really slidey?
No.
I think there could be something wrong, potentially, with Rens Thomassen's tyres. That rear right looks very dodgy.
Rear right does look very dodgy indeed. Maybe getting a slow puncture potentially out on track. 2.4 seconds the gap. I think, honestly, he is just fighting the car too much right now, and it is turning that dry, slick compounded tyre. Ryderdal has got to hope that his tyres aren't looking as bad as well, and they are not looking bad. The front right is not blistered compared to the level of Rens Thomassen right now, but the gap, look at this, 5.6 seconds. Now between Ryderdal and Luca in third position. The Kick Sauber is closing in very quickly on the back of Rens. Rens could pick up a puncture before Luca gets there, and Luca will be hoping above hope as Cameron Dowd and Daddy Van Rooyen are having a fight throughout turn number 4, I think that is, and then towards turn 7 right now. But Ryderdal leading the way. Rens there in second. They've got a hope above hope that they're going to get to the end of the race. Lap 31 out of 33. 3 laps to go. No VSCs or safety cars to the end of the race. This, like Austria, is going to be one mad finish, but this completely is different.
Yeah, Rens is done in terms of holding off Luca Rapassa here. It's a matter of time for Luca to get ahead, because Rens is going to struggle even more and more through this sector on this lap than he did on the previous. And it is an effort through this turn 3 from Rens Thomassen that would qualify him for some form of drifting event in the Netherlands. Luca Rapassa 1 second behind now. It is a shootout between Ryderdal and his worn tyres and Luca Rapassa and his extreme pace. 3 seconds between Dahl and Thomassen, 7/10 between Thomassen and Rapassa. Luca Rapassa, I think, will try to get this one done in towards turn number 10 if he can get a good run out of the corners. The last thing he needs is to be stuck behind Rens Thomassen in through the slower corners, because Rens could very easily just lift off the throttle and hold up Luca Rapassa. He's not going to get it done in towards turn number 10 unless he was an absolute madman, and that would ruin any sort of chance for the race win here. Turn number 1, probably the smarter choice, but he's going to lose time here that he doesn't need to lose. This is crucial territory for Luca Rapassa, who's starting to struggle a little bit on his own, but he's stuck. He's stuck behind Rens Thomassen. He's stuck behind the Aston Martin, and he's going to have to wait till the exit of the corner to get past. It's going to be minimal. He's only lost 0.2 of a second at a maximum there, being stuck behind Rens. Luca Rapassa has 1 Aston Martin behind him. Race on. 3.3 seconds. Dahl versus Rapassa.
3.1 seconds the gap. Luca Rapassa is going to eat into that advantage, but I think advantage is now swinged into Ryderdal. Your calculation, 1.7 second a lap, is going to look now and be put to the test, because 2.8 seconds is now the gap. He is catching hand over fist on Ryderdal. It's whether or not Ryderdal, his tyres are now beginning to fare the effects. That front right compounded tyre is beginning to blister like anything. He's now beginning to turn into that medium compounded tyre, into that dry. Luca Rapassa is 2.5 seconds away. I think Ryderdal's going to win this now. I really do think that. Luca Rapassa is eating into that advantage. But I think it's going to be too little too late. It's going to be that story of final lap is going to really ruin it for him. And Luca Rapassa now, 2.3 seconds. Ideally, I think he needs to be within a second and a half going on to the final lap. Because I don't think now Luca Rapassa has got enough time in this race to win.
Yep, I think it's a race against time, or a race against the lap count for Luca Rapassa than it is against Ryderdal. 1.9. We're coming on to the final lap of the Spanish Grand Prix. Usually when there's 1.7 seconds between two drivers in Formula 1, you call it curtains. But this one is not over. He's almost within that 1.5 seconds. To be fair, this could get very tasty indeed. Down towards turn number 1, every corner has to be potentially the quickest and most perfect that Luca Rapassa has driven it so far this evening.
Rens apparently has got a red tyre as well. About 84% those inters are standing at right now. Luca Rapassa, 1.3 seconds and behind on the back of Ryderdal. 1.2. Gap is beginning to gain back in Luca Rapassa's favour. The rain is easing out on track as well. Now coming through in towards turn number 5. Luca's going to be all over the back, in towards turn number 9 especially, on the back of Ryderdal. Is this going to be curtains for Ryderdal? Is this going to be Luca Rapassa's win? Now coming in towards turn number 7. Now through the right-hand return of right. Those tyres are beginning to come back. all of a sudden to Luca Rapata. Now through the right-hand return number 9. I think, though, the gap is too strong.
I think he's good.
Ryderdal has got this. The Aston Martin now into the left-hand return number 10. He's got a hope above hope that these punctures not happen now, coming through the final couple of corners, now in towards Bank Sabatel at turn number 12, getting the car sideways, the Swede looking to try and Scandinavian drift, coming through turn 12, now through the right hand for 13, in towards 14, Luke Rapata is gaining hard on the back of Ryderdal. Ryderdal, though, has got a hope for the line, and he does get the line. Ryderdal wins by a tenth and a half. Luke Rapata would have wanted that straight to be longer. Rens Thomason in the end has held on for third and held on to those tyres absolutely brilliantly in the end. Leonardo in fourth, Ryan there in fifth, then Matteo, Ryan, Brando, Belbelby, Bullakongan, who are still to come in. Matteo with a penalty as well. He flies through the final corner on the run to the line. I think he'll drop down to ninth. Ryan, Brando, Belbelby all jump ahead. Matteo there in ninth. Bullakongan 10. Tom recovers well, actually, to 11th. And Damien, I think, has spun through the final corner. In fact, actually, he's got a rear left puncture on that car on 27 laps. Rear left puncture on that car coming across the line. That is the real nitty-gritty sort of things that we saw here. Ryderdal wins, Luke Rapata in second, Rens Thomason there in third, Leonardo in fourth. ETA are very happy because it's a 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a shame it's not a team event.
Ryderdal with a legacy tyre-saving performance here in the Spanish Grand Prix. An excellent effort by him, and he takes his first ever PSGL F1 career victory. Luca Rapata got his first win last week, 2 weeks ago. He was 1/10 of a second off a second, but what an incredible performance tonight by the Aston Martin drivers nonetheless. I know Rens Thomason wasn't able to make it a 1-2, but still, to bring those tyres home in the way that they did is fantastic.
Yeah, an absolutely brilliant drive from Ryderdal. He does take the race win, also gets the fastest lap point as well, which is also a thing because he now gets 26 points rather than the 25. Ryderdal does take the race win. Luke Rapata would have hoped above hope that he didn't get held up, first of all, by Matteo, second of all there by Rens Thomason, but also there by himself, I think, with only a tenth and a half to the line. And Rens there in third, Leonardo in fourth, Ryan ran off the top 5, then it's Ryan, Brando, Belbelby, Matteo and Bullakongan top 10, Tom, Damien, Alpha Gully, Danny Van Ruyten, Cameron Dowds top 15, and then George Ansell 16th, being the only other finisher. Oscar, Gavano, Jeroen and Hazara all retired at different stages of the race. Wow, what a finish that was. Ryderdal takes the race win, a tenth and a half of a second. He is very lucky that start-finish time wasn't 100 yards further down, because Luke Rapata would have had him.
He would have. If it was a longer main straight, that one would be under the name of the Sauber driver and not under the name of the Aston Martin. Let's hopefully see, can we get a couple of drivers in for an interview and hear their thoughts on that one. But James, I think that was a very interesting race for all the right reasons.
It was a very interesting race indeed. I think all hell was breaking loose throughout the field. There was battles up and down. There were points of aggression towards each other as well. I think Ryan and Rens Thomason certainly going to be upon that one, but very similar to Austria, I think, in terms of the racing standards. Absolutely brilliant. Action up and down the field. This PSF1 grid, honestly, probably the most competitive and probably one of the cleanest that we've had. Yes, I've just said that because round 5, I hope, is going to be clean. If not, you're going to come back at me, I'm sure, from the comments that I've just made. But everyone behaved themselves out on track. Everyone delivered. And that's what we want as commentators. That is what we want as well as you guys want as viewers at home as well.
Yes, it is. And coming up, of course, soon on PSGL next week, we head to the Hungaroring. That'll be another strategy battle. And then after that, it's Suzuka, Saudi Arabia. Then it is off to Mexico City. Then to the Ardennes Forest in Belgium. Then off to Italy for the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. Then it is the Lusail International Circuit. And off to Sao Paulo, Brazil. We are going to hear from your race winners and second place now in the form of Ryderdal and Luca Rapata. Let's hope this works, because it didn't really last week. Let's bring them both in. Nope. There you go. That's Ryderdal gone. Let's see, does it work for Luca? Hello, Luca. Can you hear me? Hello, Luca.
Oh,
Oh, Luca sounds a bit like a TARDIS. And he's gone. It doesn't seem like we're getting some great races, but the interviews are a little bit messed up after each week.
but they do. I mean, right as I was joining on PlayStation, so we might have to go into the waiting room. Luca Rapata, I'm not sure what it was sounding like. I thought he was getting abducted or something there, potentially by an alien creature, maybe. But in the end, he drove very well, and it was just very, very shy. Hopefully, though, if we join the waiting room, I hope it works.
I'm going to try bring them up once more, and we'll see does that work.
Okay.
Hello. Oh, right, it has gone. Hello, Luca. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Ah, Luca, we can hear you now. 1/10 of a second. You were on the wrong side of it, but what an amazing drive. Are you happy with that one, or do you just wish that 1/10 of a second was in your favour?
First of all, massive congratulations to Gustav. He drove an amazing race. He was probably the quickest out of everyone in the rain. I felt like after a few laps before pit that I was the slowest out of the top. So I just thought I'm not getting a podium if I don't pit. I'll just gamble, and it worked out. The reason is it sounds weird, but the reason I didn't win is because of two ETA teammates, Matteo and Renz. They both blocked me enough for Gustav to have a tenth over me. Yeah.
Yeah, we saw Renz hold you up a little bit and help his Aston Martin teammate rather than his fellow ETA teammate, although that would be quite difficult as Rydal is as well. In terms of the long run then, you're on a brilliant run of form. Is there something in this championship for you? Do you think you could maybe pose a championship challenge?
Definitely. That's what I'm going for. I feel like I never got screwed over in the first two races, but the last two races have been amazing. Yeah, I think just keep it going and let's see where we end.
James, any questions from your side?
Obviously we've got Hungary in next week. Is that a track built to fit you? And first of all, are you going to be attending? Second of all, how do you think you're going to get on around that?
I'll definitely be attending. Yeah, I always like the higher downforce tracks. Just also, it's not like too much playing around with the ERS and qualifying, and that's what I prefer, just driving. So yeah, I think I'll be quite strong there. Yeah, I hope to do the same as the last two races.
Yeah, as Evan said, you are the man in form, definitely coming into tonight. It's just a shame it ended up on the wrong side. A 10th and a half. If that straight was a little bit longer, you would have had that P1, but you should still be very, very happy by giving us a thrilling end, and also very proud for you finishing P2 out there. Congratulations on that. And Evan, if you have not got any more questions, that is the end of the interview with Luca.
Yes, it is. We're going to hopefully hear from the man who was just ahead of him now, Rydal. Luca, congratulations and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Let's try bring in Rydal now. Hopefully it does work. It hasn't, which is disappointing. I think we could potentially have to join the waiting room.
He's joining on PlayStation. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a brilliant update from Discord to add it to PlayStation, but it doesn't work for interviews, which is very annoying. And,
yeah.
The thing about Rydal is we would join the waiting room for him, but he's not actually joined back. So I think he has given up on us a little bit. But you briefly mentioned the Hungaroring there, James, in the interview. As Luca mentioned as well, high downforce track. Are we in for a good one?
Rydal's back in the waiting room, by the way, if you want to go there.
Yeah, let's have a stab at it and see can we bring him down, or see can we bring ourselves down to the waiting room to hear from Rydal. Hello, Rydal. Can you hear me?
What's up?
1 second. We will get Ryder. We will get the. Hold on. I have to fix it on OBS now. Everyone should be able to hear Rydal. PSGL F1 win by 1/10 of a second. A little bit close for comfort maybe, but you have still taken a fabulous points haul.
Yeah, that was amazing. I could not. When we first was in the train with Luca, me and Renz, I first thought we're not gonna make it to the end. But then I saw on the tire wear that it was possible for me, but not for Renz, probably. But then Luca made the decision to pit because he was just sliding everywhere. But I made a decision to just stay out and see what happens. And well, it worked because my teammate, I guess, defended a little bit. So that helped me clinch the win.
And then in terms of tonight, we saw a lot of drivers struggling in the wet conditions as a whole. How did you find them?
Well, I actually went a little bit. I went with like a dry/wet setup, I guess, and I mean, I did feel kind of comfortable, I guess. And there was a lot of sliding though, but I could still keep it on the road and just not make a mistake that could cost me the win or something like that. So it was good.
James, any questions from yourself?
Yeah, I've actually come on to what happened behind you because with 2 laps to go, Luca was 3.3 seconds in behind. He got held up by Rens Thomason. Was that the decisive moment where you thought, right, I'm going to potentially win this?
Well, actually, yes, because I knew that Luca was catching around 2 seconds per lap and sometimes 1.6. So when I saw the gap was like 3.5 seconds and 2 laps ago, I was like, okay, I could actually do this. If I don't make any mistakes, then yeah, I'm on for the win. And luckily, I didn't make any mistakes on the last 2 laps, and I won with a little margin.
Yeah, a little margin, and you would have been hoping above hope that start-finish line was through the final corner, I think, rather than just where it was positioned out on track. It was one of those races where I think 100 yards more, it would have been completely different result. But congratulations on the race win. Hungary, of course, next week. Normally quite good around that track. How do you think you're going to get on?
Yeah, thank you. Well, the last games, I guess I've been okay at Hungary. So definitely points, but it's gonna be harder to get the top 5 or top 3.
Yeah, you never know though with Hungary. Hopefully you will be hungry for more next week.
Oh.
Go and enjoy evening right at all.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
I have to
Bye-bye.
do that, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Rydertal's going to regret winning the race because he had to hear that one. Very disappointing. But it is great to hear from the race winner nonetheless, and that will shake up the championship. You're going to have to tune in next week again, folks, because this has been a thoroughly enjoyable season. From myself and James, that is all we do have time for tonight. It's been a pleasure to have so many of you alongside us, and we do hope to see you next week at the Hungaroring. James, more PSGL action during the week. What can people look forward to?
Well, we have got, of course, PCF1 beginning on, I think it's Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. George Morgan and is it Dan Field, I think, alongside Jack Canal. I
No,
don't
Jack
know who's
Canal,
alongside
Irish
him.
representation.
It's
Irish
It's
representation.
George and Jack. Yeah, George and Jack for PCF1. That is Wednesday, 7 p.m. UK time. If you missed the announcements about who's in what car, have a look on social media because they are definitely on there. Thursday, 7 p.m. PCF3 and F5 is going to be covered, as well as F2 and F4 at 8 p.m. And then we are back with you, of course, on Monday. PSGL E-Series as well is on Friday. And their track, if I am not mistaken, if I'm just going to have a quick look at the E-Series, I do not have access to the E-Series channel, so that's brilliant. But E-Series is on Friday, which is very good. So that was a real success. And a big thank you, of course, to GT Omega for this lovely gaming chair that they've provided us, myself and Evan, with as well. You can get 5% off on all GT Omega products as well. And also Sim Racing Centre. And they provide, of course, all things setup, engineering, strategy advice, including 2 times F1 champion Brendan Lee giving you a session. If you want to try and check them out, PSGL at checkout, 10% off your purchase. All of the links on the description below.
You heard it, folks. That's where you can catch more PSGL and some fabulous purchases or products and services from our fabulous sponsors. But you will see one more word from them now as we round it out, folks. Join us for PSGL F1 next Monday night at 8 o'clock. It's been a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you very much. Stay safe, stay well, and we shall see you next time. Bye-bye.
cup, though.